Just to recap what we are going to talk about today, this will be about eSPACE Event Scheduler. This is a perfect place if you need a refresher on the event scheduler, need a little bit of training kind of on the side about how to do things. It's a great place for you. But this is also great if you don't use it already. We're going to overview everything within the system. And I think it's going to be really beneficial just to see what it can do, what it cannot do, and everything in between. So thank you all so much for being here, taking an hour out of your busy day to do this with me. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Awesome. Can you all see that okay? Awesome. Thank you guys. I love how responsive you guys are. That makes my life so much more fun. I don't feel like I'm talking to a brick wall. So this is great. Awesome. Well, what I'm going to do, guys, and if you've been on a demo with me before or a webinar with me before, I'd like to have a little fun. So I may ask some questions. I may ask you to interact in the chat while you can. So thank you for those that are doing that already, setting the tone. My vets, I love it. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to give you all an overview of eSPACE Event Scheduler. I'm going to do what I can to get a very high-level overview in about 30 to 45 minutes. After that, I'm going to go through some pro tips that I think are very helpful, and I am going to save time to answer questions as I can. I won't be able to get onto everything, but I will do the best I can to make sure you guys get the most out of this session today. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open an event I've already created in eSPACE. We're going to do our Bible study and picnic. And if you've been on a demo with me recently, I have a really lame analogy I like to use, so I hope you bear with me. But an event in eSPACE is kind of like a sandwich. I can get away with the meat and cheese of the event if I want. So here's the name, here's the time, here's the room. Let's just get it on the calendar. But if I also want to come in and add additional components to it, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, these things to really beef up a sandwich, I can do that too, such as adding services to it, adding resources, modifying the setup details, changing occurrences. If we do have billing and invoicing as our module, we could have rentals for the event. And there's a lot of things like that that we're just going to cover and talk through. I will start with the meat and cheese of the event, so our details. So again, just the basic information. What's the name of the event, the description, our event start and end time, setup and tear down. Then we could choose the occurrence of the event. And this sounds very silly. I don't mean to get too into the weeds, but I love how you can customize the recurrent schedule. So if it's daily, I could actually come here and press customize and maybe choose it's going to be every weekday. If it's weekly, I can come further and say maybe it's going to be Tuesday and Thursday of every week, or every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. I can modify that. If it's going to be a monthly event, I can come and say, is it on the 3rd Thursday of every month, or the 30th, or the 15th, or whatever that may be of the month. And then my favorite thing to do is I can just choose custom if I want. Maybe there is no set pattern. Just grab a bunch of dates that work well for me. It's very easy to do. If I need to get rid of any of them, I'll just come and click them away. Easy as that. Now, what would be a Zoom webinar if I don't show you our Zoom integration? This is super cool. So if you guys didn't see already, in the midst of COVID and everything else, we did want to develop a robust integration with Zoom, knowing you all are having lots of virtual events. So I will kind of make this part of an overview, but I also want to train you all on how to set this stuff up. So I may be kind of bouncing back and forth between this event here. But if the event's offsite, we can mark that here, but we now have the ability to mark it as virtual. And look at that. Some people may say, wait, Lee, I don't have that button next to my virtual meeting links. I have to copy and paste right now. Well, this is how you add that. So your Zoom credentials do need to be hooked in eSPACE. So what I can do now with the Zoom integration is I could actually come and press create a Zoom meeting link, and it creates it directly from my Zoom account for me. I don't even need to go anywhere else. It's all in one place. But how I set this up is I'm going to go to my profile icon in the top right here, go to profile, and then Zoom integration. You could just enter your credentials right here, get your Zoom account all connected up. So again, profile top right corner, scroll down to the bottom, Zoom integration, connect your Zoom account, you're good to go. And I will let you know everybody is going to receive a recording of this after. So if I feel like I'm going a little fast for you all, maybe just make a note of what I talked about and then go check it out later, and we'll kind of do it that way, because I am going to try and cover a lot very, very quickly. So just take some notes of some cool features I point out, and we could talk about at the end. I could show you again how to set it up, or we can talk about implementing it later. All right, let's keep moving. So locations, if you guys are a multi-campus church, this is how we choose which campus we will be at. So if I select multiple campuses or just one campus, when I go over to the next page to choose my rooms and resources, if they are location specific, then it will only show me those items. So in the main campus, I'm only going to see rooms and resources and items available at the main campus. Scrolling down, we then have the option to check it as public. So if our event is public and we want it to show on the calendar on our website, we check this box here. So when I check this box, again, it means it's going to show on our calendar if you're using our embed code to get it there. Now, another thing I've seen a lot of people do is they'll utilize our ICS file to pull the events from eSPACE to their Google and Outlook calendar, or just give it directly in a WordPress plugin to put it on their website. That's another way to get events to your calendar. I'll talk more about the ICS file a little later on. That's kind of a way that we integrate with Google and Outlook to pull events from eSPACE directly to those kind of calendars. Again, I'll talk about that a little more later. That is one of the pro tips I want to discuss. Then going down, what is the public location? What are the public notes if we want to share something different than our internal description? The public link, if we want to offer registration or anything like that. We can even have a public calendar image now. So those of you who are my eSPACE veterans, we just upgraded our public calendar. So you can now have header images, and there's a whole new view within the embed code. If I do have time today, I'll try and get to that. But that is really cool. So now we can add an image there to be featured on our public calendar on our website. Then we scroll down to category and number of people, and this is where we're going to get into some details a lot of you users do not know you can do, is we can make certain fields required depending on our workflow. So in this instance, I have a red asterisk by category and number of people. You may not have those, but that's telling me that these fields are required for my workflow to be filled out. So I do have to submit a category and number of people. I require category because we have a ton of events one month. I want to make it as easy as possible for my staff to get on the calendar and just filter to find what they're looking for. In the same sense, I also require a number of people, and this was also something that benefited us greatly with the sensitivity of COVID, is I require a number of people because each of my rooms have a max and minimum capacity for the people who can be in it. So for instance, if I try and book this event with 50 people in my conference room, it's going to let me know, hey, Lee, you need to pick another room. That one's not going to work. You have way too many people. So it's going to have those parameters set for me. And that's just me maybe being lazy as an admin. Lazy, I like that. It's lazy Lee. But that's me being lazy as an admin. So I don't have to go and check on those things. It's just another thing that I have to worry about when I'm approving people's events. This is doing the work for me. And my goal is I want the system to work for me as much as I can. So again, you don't need to require these items, but they may help in the long term. Now, towards the bottom, if you do not know that we integrate with HVAC, access control, and digital signage, I'm here to tell you we do, and it's amazing. So we do have integrations with HVAC and access control, and the way those work is if I have an event scheduled on the calendar, it can automatically tell my doors when to lock and unlock, and it can automatically tell my HVAC when to come on and off based on those times. You could also set buffers for the doors, choose which ones are exterior versus interior. You could also set ramp up times for each unit for HVAC because your sanctuary is going to take longer to cool than any other room. You could do things like that. Our system is smart enough to handle it. Is anybody using the IoT integrations now? HVAC, digital signage, access control? Is anybody here? Go ahead and tell me in the chat if you are. A lot of raised hands. Nice. I love it. You guys know how to use Zoom better than I do. The hands is a pretty cool feature. I like that. In essence, this is a big productivity saver in my opinion. It's going to save us time from having to manually schedule those things after the fact. But I love this because we're refreshing our data every 15 minutes. So if you cancel an event last minute, cancels the door schedule, cancels the HVAC. If there's a room change last minute, updates the appropriate doors, updates the appropriate HVAC. So very straightforward like that. And then digital signage, we're just feeding these events directly to our digital signage so we can control them in that sense. Or not so we can control them, so we can see the events on our digital signage in that sense. All right. Moving on here, we're going to jump over to contacts. These are the people outside of our organization we want to stay connected with the event. Most typically are volunteers or anybody else not on staff who may be somebody that needs to keep in line with the updates. We then jump over to our items. So we're going to talk about spaces, resources, and services. Spaces are going to be the schedulable items or the schedulable rooms or areas where the event is taking place in. So as you see here, I kind of have a parent-child hierarchy I like too. If you don't have a parent-child hierarchy, you need one. I love it. It makes me stay very organized and it makes my staff stay organized. But I could do this drop down here, McKinley Administrative Building. Then I see first floor, second floor, grounds. I could choose I want to be in the first floor. Then boom, hey, maybe I want to be in the classrooms on the first floor. I'll do that drop down too. And boom, I get all my rooms of the classrooms in the first floor in this building. So What I can do here is I choose my rooms, and we do have real-time conflict detection. So it's letting me know, hey, Lee, we have a big problem with these rooms here. The big problem is another event's in that place at that time, and here's the date the event is. So it's going to show me what conflicts I have to make sure I am not double booked. That's a big piece of what the event scheduler is going to do. What I also like doing, kind of a pro tip, you see my max capacities I have here. We also have minimum capacities. So we see this red circle with a line through it. That's actually going to let me know there's a number of people violation or there's another error that occurred. And somebody remind me at the end of this, I want to talk about some space restrictions and other things you could do. You could also like edit certain resources and certain items that can't be scheduled in certain rooms or that are restricted only to be booked in certain rooms. I really like that too. That's another item where I would see that red circle with a line through it is something like that. I like to consider it a one-off violation. Now, the other thing we'll see here is we see this blue, purple, magenta-ish box that says TV whiteboard. You guys can argue in the chat what color that is because I can't really tell. It's some blue purple color that we know that for sure. But I can come in here and now what I can do, and these are all user defined, I built these myself, but I can go and filter by those tags. So if I'm Johnny at the facility, I don't really know what room I need. I just need a room with a whiteboard. I'm just going to go and filter by that tag whiteboard, and I'm just going to see rooms with a whiteboard in it. Awesome. I'm going to take a second look at the chat real quick. Periwinkle. I like it. Awesome. So next I'm going to move over to our resources. Resources are going to be the movable items related to our event. Tables, chairs, projectors, coffee pots, all that good stuff can be included here. As you see, we have real-time conflict detection with this as well. So if I have 26-foot tables on hand, the system's going to make sure I never overextend myself past those 20 tables. So I really like that as well. Then we jump into services. And this is what I define to be anything that requires human interaction within your event or anything with a heartbeat. So it's going to be my childcare, communications, catering, AV, all of those good people to be included here. Now, this also, I'll talk about user permissions here because I think this is a really strong use case. Is there's four, and this will make sense after I explain it, I promise. There's 4 different types of user permissions in eSPACE. We have your admin. That is your king or queen of the calendar. They can go in, they can change the settings. They're the only people who can change the settings. They can approve or reject any event, any item that they would like. They can modify events. They can do it all. Underneath them, you have somebody called a sub-administrator or a sub-admin. That person is somebody who we assign a specific approval area to. Now, why that approval area isn't limited to services, this is a really good point that I like to make. So let's say we have Susie May, and Susie May is in charge of childcare. So when Susie May, or when I book an event that has childcare with it and I submit it, Susie May is automatically going to get an email. And she has the ability to approve of this portion of the event being childcare. However, let's wait a second. She can't approve the whole event because it's also going to have tables. It may have chairs. It may have a certain room in it that's outside of her approval area. So it's still going to need an admin to come in and check those boxes for her and make sure they're approved. But what this is doing is this is streamlined communications rather than the admin calling childcare saying, hey, is it okay if we have an event? You good with this? Will you be here? All that good stuff. It's streamlining our communication by having those sub-admins in place. This event, for instance, what would happen here is 3 people would get emailed when I submit this. My communications director, right here, communications, my childcare person, because they have those approval areas, as well as my administrator, because then some items are not falling under the approval areas. So does that all make sense? Everything making sense so far? Everybody clear? And just to kind of clarify as well, the approval area can be certain rooms, it could be certain resources, or it could be certain services. So it could be all over. Maybe you have somebody in charge of a certain part of the building, you want their level of approval on, you can do that as well. Yes, yes, love this feature. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you guys so much. Awesome. We're jumping over to the setup tab now. And if you are a facility manager that is listening to this, this should be your dream. So all of the items I just selected back there, my spaces, my resources, my services, all of that good stuff I can see here and I can kind of set up appropriately. So first thing we'll see is we have services. So this ties in where our forms come into great use. If I want to book something like childcare, it's not just good enough to know I need childcare. There's other questions we need answered to know if we can book this or not. Like, are there allergies? How many children are we talking? Do we want to capture guardian info? And that's what these forms are going to do, is you build these forms yourself and assign them to the items. And then anybody can come in, and again, these questions can be whatever you want, but these forms are required to be filled out to book these resources. So they could be short answer, they could be drop down as we see here, they could be checkbox like I have for my communication person. You are the master of that fate. And what I learned recently, this I'm still learning too, this is what's awesome, is you could actually use questions as an upload. Maybe you want somebody to upload a file, upload a drawing. You could have upload questions here too. You could also have URL links. Maybe you want somebody to go look at a menu at a certain restaurant for your catering person. You could actually link that menu here so they could see everything. So I really like having that kind of stuff too. Next one over is our configurations. And these are going to be, how do we want this room to be set up? So for room 103, I'll go ahead and edit it. And I have 3 configurations I can choose from. Now, these are going to be pre-assigned to these rooms by your admin. So the admin is the person in charge of deciding what configurations can you select from. Because I'm the admin, I get to choose what I select from, but I can come here and I can select from these different configurations. I choose the cake table. I'm even going to leave a note that says we're going to leave the chairs on the east wall over here. So we got our configuration, got our setup, we're good to go, we'll move on. And what I'll reinforce and show you a little later too, everything I put in the setup tab will be relayed in our setup report to our facility team. And I'll even show you later how you can automate your setup report so you don't have to print it on a weekly basis. You can schedule it to come to somebody's email on a recurring basis that you select. And again, take note if any of these are something you want me to walk you through towards the end of this. That's the point of this. I want to be able to show you all how to set this up and use it yourself also. So please take note of that also, if that's something you'd like to see. Next thing we could do is, this is a weird event where I have 5 6-foot tables, 2 4-foot tables. Man, that chip's sneaking up on me again. But I have only 4 rooms. So how do I designate where those tables go, right? I could actually come and edit the resource and allocate exactly where I want it to go. So it's going to go in these 2 rooms. We'll have 2 in room 103. We'll have 3 in room 104. And hey, we'll even leave 2 in the hallway. We put a special note here. So why not? We could do that too, just to show you the capability. All right, that was our setup tab, everybody. Next, we're moving on to our occurrences tab. This is what I like to call editing on the occurrence level. So the best way to explain it is, we have an event every single Tuesday, but I just want to change one of those Tuesdays without affecting the whole string of events that follow. This gives me the ability to come in and say, for hey, August 19th, we're going to change you. We're going to change you up. I want to just change this occurrence. I don't want to change all the other dates that follow, just this one date. So I'm going to change the day and time of it if I want, the rooms, the resources, services, or even how it's set up all together. I can make these changes without affecting everything that follows. So I really like this tab for that. We then go to schedules, and you could do a lot with schedules. There is so much to do with schedules. I really don't even want to get too into the weeds with it, because it can get pretty deep of how you can customize this event. A way I like to use it is I could specify, okay, from 4 to 9, we have our event. We booked, say, 10 different rooms. That's a lot. Let's just say we booked the 4 rooms we already booked and call it a day. So we booked our auditorium, room 101, 102, 103. So I can specify, okay, the event's from 4 to 9, but from 4 to 6, we're going to be in the auditorium and we're going to have catering then. Then from 6 to 9, we're going to be in breakout room 101, 102, 103, and we're just going to have breakouts. So what I can do now is I can specify those different schedules here. And what that's going to do is 2 different things. It's going to make me feel more organized for the event. So I have these schedules in place. But what it's also going to do is, rather than looking like we have the auditorium from 4 to 9, it's going to show, hey, we only have it from 4 to 6. And then we're going to tear that down at 6:30. So somebody can go in and book it at 7. So that's doing a few things. That's increasing the usage of our facility, which is very good. And it's allowing people to know we can book it after that time. It's not really going to be used all the way till 9. What it's also doing is the facility guys can get a heads up and start tearing down sooner than they thought they would, get ahead of the game and help save a little time on their lives, which is really helpful too. There's some other really cool things you could do with that. Again, I don't want to get so in the weeds with schedules, because you can get some like schedules outside of the event time and you can make a lot of cool stuff going on there. Who uses work order management? If you have not seen the work order sign before and you use the event scheduler, we need your facility guy to use eSPACE work order and asset management. It is awesome how you can integrate the two as well. And I scream this so many times, but the work order tool is really one of my favorites. I love it. But work order and asset management integrates with the event scheduler. So if I want to generate a work order within the event, I can do that right here. But on the flip side in work order management, have you guys ever scheduled an event to realize your maintenance guy is working in the same room you scheduled the event on? If you haven't, it may happen soon if you're not using these tools. But what you can do on the work order and asset management side is you could actually close off a room for maintenance. So if there's a work order being done, there was a spill, we're cleaning the carpets, we're painting the room for whatever reason, we could actually close off the room from the work order side so it shows up as a conflict in the event scheduler. So very cool how those integrate. Some other add-ons that we offer. So these two next ones are add-ons. We do also offer event registration. Our event registration is solid. However, I'll be honest with you guys. I love using a church management system for my event registration because it will tie with my database with people. That's going to give me reports that I usually cannot get later on. If you don't have the best church management software, you don't really care about what the data you can get from your database is, this is an awesome tool. Next is billing and invoicing, and this is the opposite event registration in my opinion. If you have rentals at your facility, this is a home run in my opinion. And again, this is an add-on, but we can now assign a dollar figure to any item in our facility we have. Let it be a room, a resource, a service, like catering, any of those things we want. Folks can go on our website and fill out a rental request form, and they can then decide what items do we want, and you choose what you want them to book from. You may not want them to choose everything in your facility. You select what you like them to book from. Then there's real-time conflict detection on that form too while they're going to fill out the rental request, where they could even see, is it available or not while I request it. They send the request to you, and if you accept it, you can bill and invoice them all directly from our system. You could require deposits. You could do a lot of cool stuff with that. So I do recommend that module. Summary is just a pretty view of what's going on within the event here. So something you can print out and hand to your pastor. Then we have conversations. This is kind of like Slack built into an event here. So with this, I can create a conversation with somebody. So let's actually do it. And it always likes to do this with me when I'm on a Zoom presentation, is it'll make me refresh and do it again. I don't know why. Somebody calls Zoom support. But what I can do now is I can start a conversation with whoever I'd like. And what happens is when I create this conversation, that person will receive an email just like any other email, but it's tied to the event. And they could actually respond to it directly from their email as well. So they don't even need to log into eSpace to respond to me. But now that I've created the conversation in eSpace, it's going to track our back and forth in the system under our conversations tab here. So even if I come back to this event a year later, I'll see everything we talked about. So does anybody have an event in mind that comes in hand where you think this would be useful? I know I do, and it's called Christmas. I'm trying to figure out, why did we do Christmas the way we did it last year? How did we do it that way? Rather than just going in my Gmail and typing in Christmas and hoping I find what we were talking about, I can just pull up the Christmas event from last year and see everything. So I like having that for that reason. I can manage my Zoom meetings here for the multiple occurrences if I like, if it is a virtual event. Now I can see my history. This is my accountability tab. And I made this event this morning just for you guys. So we can see exactly when we created it. I can come here and I can see exactly what's been removed, what's been added, exactly when those things were, and who did it. As you can see here too, when you get quick at it, I made this whole complex event in 2 minutes. That's not bad, guys. That's pretty good. One of the things I love about eSpace is it's very easy to navigate once you get your reins. Like this moves very, very quick for me. So I'd just like to share that as well. But that is an event within eSpace, everybody. Wow, and record timing too. I have a lot of time to walk you guys through some stuff now. Isn't that great? So I hope this overview made sense. I'm going to go through a few more advanced features really quick, and then I'm going to take some questions and we'll keep rolling from there if that sounds good with you guys. Is this helpful so far? My eSpace vets, did you learn anything new in just a quick overview of the event right here? Anything that you're not using right now that you saw that may be handy? Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Conversations, awesome. Excellent, guys. We're just getting started. Time to go deeper. Let's do it. And thank you guys so much for communicating with me. Like I said, it makes it a lot more fun for myself. So a few things we'll talk about, and I will go through the forbidden advanced settings real quick in general. Now, this is the never-ending tube of so many settings that I don't like to cover with people all the time because this is where they start to fall asleep. Don't fall asleep on me, guys. There's some gems that are hidden here. I'm gonna take you right to the gems. We're gonna skip through everything else and just go right to it. So there's some great display features that you can have. So this is nice to just look through at your own time. The display features are strong. Pre-approval and final approval. If you'd like that extra layer of approval for your events, these are really good settings to look at. Pre-approval, it's exactly what it sounds like. If you want to designate somebody to be your pre-approver to check off an event before it goes to your admin and your sub-admin and the other people who need to approve of it, you can do that. For final approval, it's the last person to check it off. After it's been approved by everybody, let's get that one last final say before we really put it on the calendar. Couple other items we'll cover here. You see where I require category. I talked about that. This is where I check to require categories for my events as well as number of people. But you can also require contacts. You can choose to require setup and teardown time. I also like having a buffer set. If I want to have a buffer set for our setup and teardown time, this is nice because our users don't have to go and manually put it in each time. Like if I have a buffer for 30 minutes, every time somebody creates an event, it's going to have a 30-minute setup buffer, but they can still change that buffer. This is just giving them kind of some head start in a sense. And it could really help for your users that don't really care or know about setup time, just something to have already in there that they don't need to worry about. My goal is to make it as easy as possible for our staff to use this system, right? So how can we equip them to do so? So a few other things we'll talk about here. So this is a big one for me. Don't allow events to be created with a start time sooner than X days in the future. This is a new one. So what we've always had is don't allow, and hang with me here, guys, don't allow events to be updated X hours prior to the start time. This is a big one. So if people are changing events last minute all the time and it's messing me up, I'm going to make a statement here and say they cannot change their event up to 24 hours until when it starts. Maybe you go further than that. That's totally up to you. But this is going to prevent anybody from changing those things. But you may have noticed there's a box here I didn't check. Except admins. If I check this, my admins won't be able to do it too. But if there's something they really, really need to change the last minute, they got to call my admin and tell them, because I know my admin is going to let the facilities team know, and they're going to let everybody else know that needs to know that stuff. So that's very big. We just released this yesterday. Don't allow events to be created X days in the future. This was the ability to not allow events to be updated. Now people cannot create new events X days before the future. So another great feature there. That's something that you all asked for in our post idea section. We developed because we had, I think, about 50 votes. So we develop it. And again, if you are not familiar with post idea, right up here at help, post idea. Please share your idea with us. We do listen to it, and we want you to share whatever features you'd like us to build. If they do get enough votes, just like this one, we will build it for you all. So that's a big one. Then we have some conflict stuff we can add, prevent people from submitting an event, all that good stuff. I won't go into too much detail there. Notifications. Oh, another thing. I hear so many people say they get too many emails. You can always go here to my notifications in the top right under the profile. Go to your notification preferences. I get emailed for everything, and you will too by default. So what you can do is you can come in here and you could change what you need to get emails for. Maybe you don't need to receive emails for everything. Do it. Power is yours. I got a few things coming in the chat bot here. I'm going to take a look at this before I keep going on. Yep, Marty is right. Vote for things you like. If you go in there, if you see something in post idea, you got to go vote for it. What if it is a recurring event and they want to change it for one of the far dates and not one 24 hours from now? If they change their occurrence, they're good to go. As long as that occurrence is not 24 hours or so until the start time. Let's see what else we got. Allison, if you're referring to the last setting I talked about, that is for everything. So that is for all rooms, all events. All right. So a few other things I will talk about real quick. The event request form is another big one, guys. So I'll show you a little hack here. And this is something I really love to do. As you can see, I have a billable event request form and I have an event request form. Now, the billing and invoicing is the module that gives you the ability to make it a rental request form. However, you don't need billing and invoicing to have an event request form. This is a great way still to have people outside of your staff to request events. So you can build this out. And again, I'm under settings, advanced event request forms right down here. But we can open up this form here, take a look at what this looks like. This is a public form. Anybody with this link has the access to request an event now. So you can just send them this link. You can put it on your website, whatever you want to do. People can just go fill out the form. You could ask custom questions at the bottom here. They're totally up to you. Maybe you have a facility usage agreement you want to attach here and make them check a box to indicate that they agree to everything. That's going to be a very big one for a lot of you. I love doing that. Then when I go to the next page here, it's going to allow me to select the rooms, resources, and services that you let me to select. And again, you can make those billable if you want. If this is a billable event request form, you can certainly do that with billing and invoicing. So I do love using that also. All right. A few other things I want to talk about. I want to jump into our reports really quick. I told you I would show you, so I'm going to do it. So our setup report, again, I know a lot of people, they'll go ahead and they'll run the report and they'll print the report and just hand it off to their guys every week. Or they'll save it and they'll just come and load it and do all that good stuff. But wait, what is this green button with the calendar next to that report? Does that say schedule? What I can do here is I could actually come and schedule this report. So maybe every week on Monday at 8 a.m., I can schedule this report to come to my email on that day at 8 a.m. every Monday. So it's going to give me a link with that report. I just click on it. It takes me right there and very, very easy to use. I highly recommend the automated reports here. Those reports can be automated in the report builder, the setup report, even our analytics could be automated to come to you on recurring details. So maybe you're just managing the whole process altogether and you just want to see the analytics going on. That's a big one for me. I love our analytics, and you know what? I'm going to talk about it too while we're here. So let's go ahead and pull up some data from last year to take a peek at. So I can see the number of events we had last year, the number of people. This is a big one for me. How well are we utilizing our space? Who agrees with me that your facility has been entrusted for you and it is a tool for ministry? Anybody agree with that? Or I hope so. I love it. Okay, lots of hands going up. Great. So how do we maximize the usage of our facility? And I think events is a great way to do it. How do we actually use what we've been given? And another big thing I like to look at, it's kind of the woman at the well analogy, is when we have people outside of our staff or people who aren't involved with our church come and have events at our church, they may meet Jesus there. You know, that's just get them in the building. That's a big thing for me. And I love to see that maximized. Another component is, I don't know about you all, but I don't pay for 48% of my bills at the end of the year. I pay for 100%. So how can we maximize that? So again, it's going to show you some other data too, you know, like what space is getting used the most, what resources or services are used the most, which events had the most number of people, what time of the day is the busiest for us. So, okay, I know I want to increase my space usage, but I don't know where to start, Lee. I can come and see, okay, what's the best time of the day to have more events? We have a noon to 3 or 4 o'clock drop off here. That'd be a really good idea to have more events scheduled. Okay, great, Lee. You know when to do the events, but what events do we do? Well, luckily, if your categories are like mine and they're different ministries, I can come and see, okay, we do a great job of getting adult activities in the building. We're doing really good at community outreach events in the building. Then we have something like this. We had 5 events with middle schoolers last year. How can we increase that? How can we get them in the facility more? Now we have a goal. Now we have an action that we should take just because of the analytics it's giving us. So I really like that kind of stuff too. And again, we give you the data. You do your analytics on your own. I think it could be very, very powerful. One of the things I'd challenge you all to do as well, schedule this maybe monthly or yearly and monitor how well you're utilizing your space. I'm giving a big shout out to one of our guys on staff, Luke Luttrell with Fellowship Bible Church in Nashville, Tennessee. I think it's Nashville. But what they have is they have an 80 to 90% space utilization. Like, that is awesome. Like, that is incredible. That is a really good goal to reach for. I just love that they're doing that. So in any sense, I think that is a lot of what I wanted to cover with you all today. Let me take, oh, you know what? I said one more thing I wanted to show you. I promise I'm going to get to questions. When I go to my resources here, I showed you that when we had a conflict, the little circle with a line through it. Another thing I want to show you This is where we can go a little deep. A lot of people just skip through these settings at the bottom here, but there's some cool stuff like our space restrictions. Do we want to make this resource available only in certain spaces, only in certain rooms? This is exactly how we do that. This could be very helpful. If you have a large facility and you don't want to carry 6-foot tables across 50,000 square feet, this is how you do it. You can prevent them and you could section them off to certain parts in certain buildings or certain rooms. That is totally up to you. So I really like using that as well. We have required forms we could add here and create availability schedules too. So maybe you don't want them to use that room or that table after a certain time of the day. You can create an availability schedule for it so they can't do it. So yeah, there's a drop down here, but my drop down doesn't have anything, Lee. You can create availability schedules by going to Settings, Advanced Availability, and Schedules. So here's where we can do that. And as you see here, those are the schedules that I have. You can make it campus-wide for your whole facility, as well as for certain items. A lot of people don't know that. You can make certain items available at certain times. All right, guys, I'm going to look at the chat box here so you to catch up on any questions that were coming in. Take a second here, and I have some Q&A. And be patient with me. This chat bot is very sensitive. I'm reading it as I can. Can a form request create an event at that level of detail? Create an event at that level of detail. Can you explain a little more about what you're asking, Michelle? It can make an event at a very high level of detail. The request form won't be able to have configurations or other pieces like that if that's what you're asking, though. Do you email users when updates have been made to the program? Great question, Glenda. This is something we developed very recently. So when you see a notification here that has a little gift box, it's actually our what's new. So this won't give us everything we're doing, but it will get a lot. So that one I just showed you, it's actually going to show up here in our new features for August. So we don't put everything out here, but we do update this pretty regularly, usually on a month-to-month. Sometimes we forget, just to be honest, but we do our best we can, and we're really trying to improve with that. And we just developed a deeper integration with Google. Please go check it out. And again, I just went to the top right here under this little present. I clicked it, takes me to this article. And these links are going to show me articles on how to set all this stuff up as well. Please use these resources. They're awesome. Going back to the chat box here. On the request, my goodness, my language. On the event request form, you said we could add a form up front. It showed eSPACE for more information. How do I add that to the request form? Oh, are you referring to the link? How can I delete one occurrence and keep all the monthly ones? So Darlene, what you can do is that's going to be a question type that you ask in the form, just really quick. So when I go to my form and edit it here, when I add a question, I could choose what type of question it's going to be. And what I'm going to make that is a link right here. And that's how you'd set that up. All right, 1 second. How can I delete one occurrence and keep all of the monthly ones? Great question. We're going to go back to the occurrence tab here. And we could either do that directly under the occurrence. We could select it and just go ahead and delete it right here. So you see what I did? I just went ahead, oh goodness, I can't go back to it now. But I clicked the button here to select multiple, and it's going to let me just check off which ones I want to delete. And I can literally just come and check them, and I can cancel or delete them right here. And I'm just under the occurrence tab. Will this sync with Planning Center Church Management System calendars? It will not, because they don't want to integrate with us, unfortunately. We built an integration with them where we could pull integration from Planning Center into eSPACE if you want to control your HVAC with us and things like that. But Planning Center doesn't like us very much, I don't think. So we're not able to build a two-way integration with them. However, if you have a contact at Planning Center, please let them know. We would love to have some sort of integration with them. We'd like to be Switzerland. We want to get along with everybody. And just to show you all too, we have integrations built with a lot of different church teams. We love them. They built their own integration with us. We love church teams. So church teams, big thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. You build the event in eSPACE and then it syncs over to church teams. So we love them. They're a great partner of ours, and I highly recommend their software as well. But just to give you a list of some of our church management software integrations. Now, not all of these are made equal. Like our church team ones is highly more effective. Our touchpoint one is very effective. Our ministry platform one is almost very effective. We have it coming soon to release again. We've been reworking it for 2 years now, and it has been a beast. But we love ministry platform too. Highly recommend them. They have an awesome software. But we are just building and continuing our integration with them. I promise the people who've submitted in Q&A, I'm going to answer that in a second. Right now, we do not integrate with Paxton, but we have scoped their work before. If we have enough people that have been willing to help us build it, we will. We've had people who've actually fund custom coding development projects like that before, such as Omnia, Infinius, and S2. So if that's something you guys would be interested in crowdfunding, that's something we're trying to kind of drum up as well. So Valerie, after this call, if you can shoot me an email at lee@smartchurchsolutions.com, I would love to talk to you further about that. All right, before I answer the Q&A, I'm going to leave the chat box away for a second. I am going to answer the Google and Outlook stuff. That was a big question as well. So when I go to events here, export events, this is how you use our ICS file as a way to integrate with Google and Outlook. So I could choose what events I want. Maybe it's just public events, just my events, only the private events that aren't public. Maybe at a certain campus. Maybe I just want the events with a certain category that we selected. Or maybe I just want events that I'm in charge of. I'm in charge of childcare. I just want childcare events to go into my Google and Outlook calendar so I have that stuff. You create the ICS file as you want, and you could subscribe to it very easily. We have a video here to walk you through all of the process. So again, I am under events, event actions, export events, and then this video is going to walk you through it once you choose what you need from there. All right, jump into Q&A now. Let's see here. Is there more information about the integration to Shelby Next? Renita, that integration is one of those as well, kind of like Planning Center, where we can just pull in, the information from Shelby Next into eSPACE. We would love to be able to develop more integrations like that, but a lot of the church management softwares don't like us because they have their own scheduler. They like to use their own for whatever reason. If you'd like to ask them to reach out to us, we would love to further and build a deeper integration with them as well. Is it possible to print a calendar view or room report for events to display or email to staff or church members? You certainly can. So what you can do, if you like the calendar display, you can always come to the calendar here and print it. So I can do my regular view. I could do the agenda view. For printing, I like my condensed view a lot of the time. And this doesn't help because it doesn't show me the dates all the time, but it's a way where I could fit a lot of events in one piece of paper. But let's just pretend we're going to do the monthly one for now and get all of the room data because that's probably going to be really important to you all. And I'll go to my calendar actions and I can just go ahead and print the calendar right here. So you can certainly do it that way as well. All right, what else do we have? Is there a way to remove the weekend services from the utilization report? It would skew the numbers. That's a great point, Marissa. When you say the utilization report, do you mean the analytics? Because if that is the case, that is not something we're able to remove right now, but we've noticed that some of the data is getting skewed by events and on the work order side by certain work orders. It's something we're looking to develop and find a way to fix that. So long answer to short question, right now we can't, but that's something that's on our radar and we hope to work on soon. Can you as a user schedule the report to go to a non-user? You cannot do that, unfortunately. When you schedule a report, it's going to go to you, your email that you're registered for in the system. However, if you want to do something like that, you could always make that person a user in the system as a calendar view only. And then that way you can just pretty much restrict them from doing anything and let them run that report and get it to their email. Renita had a similar question, sending them to staff automatically. Is there a way to turn off the rooms and locations so you can just pick the one you want instead of having to turn all the rooms off except the ones you need? And Jenny, I apologize, or Jeannie, I'm sorry about that. That would be, are you referring to the HVAC? And Jennifer, you should reach out to me. I saw your question about ministry platform. Shoot me an email. We just got approval from MP. We're going to beta test again. If you would like to be included in that, let me know. It's not going to damage your account either. We set it up and made it in a way that's going to be really effective. So Jennifer Maddox, please shoot me an email after this. Awesome. Okay, going back to the chat here. Good questions coming in, guys. Jody, more information on HVAC integration and digital signage. I would love to talk about that right now, actually. So the HVAC integration is one I really geek over. And the question is, what controls your HVAC now? The way we integrate, we can integrate, and this may sound like a foreign language, so you're welcome to email me after as well, and I can answer these questions or get your controls person involved if you like. But we can integrate a few different ways. Method number one is through thermostats. If you have an N-Touch or Pelican thermostat, we can integrate with those directly. Or if you're willing to replace your thermostats, that is a really great option. So that's method number one. Method number two is if you have a JACE, a Java Activated Control Engine, we can integrate with that by providing a driver. Third option is if you have a building automation system like the Train Tracer, Johnson Medisys, something like that that speaks BACnet. It's a language protocol, capital BACnet. We can integrate with that as well by providing a dongle to serve as an XML parser. And don't I sound so smart saying it like that? Really, all it does is our software is in XML, your system's in BACnet. This dongle and software just works as a translator to make our system and your system speak the same language. So that's all it is to that. Digital signage. Would you guys be okay if I show you how our digital signage works? Because this is another really underrated module we have here. I'm going to jump over to my displays. There's a few things we could do here. And first of all, this is awesome because we're not like other digital signage companies and we're like, you have to buy our hardware, you have to buy our player. We're going to charge you all this money to make it happen. So we just generate a URL that you can plug into your device. So we'll go ahead and launch this. Again, we just give you that URL, right? You plug it into your device, let it be a smart TV or a dumb TV that has a Raspberry Pi, a Google Chromecast, or something like that to actually receive Wi-Fi and a URL. So you can do that as well. But this is kind of one of the options we could do, just a pretty list of events going on. And mine's kind of ugly, so I apologize. I'm not a graphic designer. But you know, I choose the font color, the background, all this good stuff here, how the date's going to be displayed, all this good stuff. And my events are going to continuously sync in here. So I don't have to manually add anything. It's just going to sync my approved events to this room based on the criteria I set. So if I want to pull events for one day and just one day only, it'll do that. If I want to do it for the week, I can do that. So you can choose how you want that to work. The other thing I really like about this, we have our room signage scheduler. And this is one of my favorite ones, is this is going to be, consider this an iPad or a touch screen. Wow, that's a really sweet event right there. What great timing. I am the weakest link, I guess. But what this will do is this will actually be an iPad or touchscreen outside of one of your busier events, kind of, or busier room, like a conference room or things like that. And this actually gives people the ability to come and look at it and scroll through what is going on for the day in that room. And if it is available, which I'll go to one that's available in a second, it'll actually let you book an event right there from the room. See, this is so ugly, gracious. But I could actually, if it is available, come here and book it, type in my PIN, and I just created an event in eSPACE directly from this display. So very, very cool to be able to do that as well. And that's pretty much the digital signage. We also have slides, which it's similar to lists, but it's just one event at a time. It's going to be a little more real estate on the screen, if that makes sense. Then we also have announcements. And this is where we do things that aren't related to events. So, and again, I'm sorry, mine are very ugly. Does anybody use Enable, by the way? We love Enable. They're a great partner of ours. We love, love, love them. They're awesome to work with. They make technology very simple. I love Enable. But in essence, this will give you the ability to also have announcements. So maybe you have a digital signage need that's not related to event. Maybe you want to have a welcome sign. You want to share your Wi-Fi password. You want to advertise something that may not be related to an event. You could certainly do that as well. And you could actually feed those announcements within the slides of a list. So you could have it alternate between events to a welcome email, to your Wi-Fi, to more events, and however you want that to work. So that is eSPACE digital signage, guys. Joseph, if you could send me an email about that, I would love to look into that further and see what's going on there. If there is an issue on our end, we'll make sure to get that taken care of right away. Awesome. When we go to Jeannie, I apologize. When we go into the location to pick a room, everything is checked, and I have to then check all of them to reach the one I need. It's checked. Are you referring to, and let me go back to your original question as well. So when you choose a location, it should not be able to, it should not choose your rooms for you. If you are able to document what you're seeing for me, Jeannie, I would love to look into that further, because it should not automatically choose all of the rooms in that location just because you choose that location. If I'm understanding correctly, if I'm not, please correct me. If you want integration with Outlook for your entire staff, this is from Marsha Wright, to see campus-wide events, can that be automated, or does it have to be done by the individual, and will any updates be sent to Outlook? So via the ICS file, Marsha, you can have well, basically the way it'll work is going to be similar to a, like if I have a birthday calendar on my calendar, it's something I could check and toggle on and off. You could have the ICS file if you have a master calendar that your whole staff has access to on their Outlook. That would be the way to do it. But everybody, if you don't, would need a way to set up that on their Outlook calendar as well. Felix, how does eSPACE integrate with access control? Great question. So the way we do it, and we have integrations right now with Infinius, Omnia, and S2. And I'm going to go over here and give you a little preview of how this works. This is my Infinius door setup. Well, this is my dashboard. Now it's my door setup. So I can come here and I can create global buffers for each door. So the way we trigger this is if my event starts at 7 o'clock, my doors are going to unlock at 7 o'clock. We don't care about your setup and teardown time. We're doing it based on the start and end time of the event. But then I could also choose if I want a global buffer, or maybe I want a buffer on each door. So if I have a buffer now, it's going to unlock, say if I had a 30-minute buffer, it'll unlock at 6:30 instead of 7. So it's going to unlock and lock automatically. You could also specify which ones are interior versus exterior doors, because they're going to work different, right? We want our interior doors to lock X minutes after the end of the event. We want our exterior doors to lock X minutes after the start of the event, so people can't get back in and the building isn't wide open after the event starts. So that's how it kind of works in that sense. But you would map which rooms belong to which of your doors. So we know if this room is booked, it turns this door, or locks and unlocks this door. But what you can also do is you can add doors to the event. So maybe I asked my folks to park in the east parking wing to come to the sanctuary. And I know to get to the sanctuary from the east wing, that's where the doors comes in here. I need to let them go through this door, this door, and this door. I could also come and manually add doors that need to operate on the same schedule for that event. Or I could override and change the times that they should be locked and unlocked as well. Can we pull all event info into one form to look pretty, like an events form, room setup, etc.? Can we pull event info in one form? What you could do, Valerie, well, the summary tab will give you some of that information. It won't as much give you the forms unless you want to click on it, but you could still click on it if you want and see all that stuff. So I'm at the summary tab within the event. Another thing you could do, I don't know how pretty it would come out to be, but if I do an event setup report, I could run it and just include the forms here. So down at the bottom, I'm at reports, event setup, scroll down, show forms, and I'll just go ahead and choose some data just so we can see what that looks like here. We'll do last year, run it. And this is something you could print out that will actually have all of the form data and the setup report data for the event. Give it a time to load here. I'm asking for a lot of info. Great. So we can see here, so here's one with a form. So we had a form for conference room A. I'm getting all the answers right here as well. So that would be probably the two ways that I would do that. How can I override conflict creating by not needing setup and takedown in between events? How can I override conflict creating by not needing setup and teardown in between events? So if you're an admin, Karen, you should have the ability to override that conflict if you need to. I mean, the other thing you do is always change the setup and teardown times. Let me go over here. And Joseph, real quick to your question, right now it does not integrate with those two. However, if they have open APIs and you guys would like to help us develop the custom coding, we do offer those projects all the time. That's how most of our integrations have come to be, actually, is churches will partner with us to fund the integrations of us writing the code. Let me go, I lost my train of thought. Let me go back here. How can I override conflict creating by not needing setup and takedown? So yeah, so as an admin, you should be able to override the conflicts if you like. If you're not able to, you may want to check your conflict settings at setting advanced general. And that way you may be prevented from doing any conflicts. So that would be something that I would consider, just making sure you're doing that, but you should be able to override conflicts if you're an admin. So, what's the best way to contact you and send screenshot of a location screen? Jeannie, you can email me at Lee, L-E-E, at smartchurchsolutions.com. And that goes for everybody as well. If this is a support question and we did not talk about it today, your best contact for a quick reply will be support@smartchurchsolutions.com. Or if you have access to the app, you could just come over here to the help section and just click support and start a ticket. We have a great support team. They're really awesome and they are very quick. They're going to be much quicker than I am. So if you do have a support question we weren't able to cover today, or I didn't tell you to reach out to me, please feel welcome to reach out to them. However, I am also here for you. So if you guys would like to email me as well, I just gave you my email. You should also have it from all the emails you receive from me anyway, but please feel welcome to reach out at any time and I'd be happy to help with that. Before I wrap up, I have 2-3 minutes left here. Does anybody else have any last minute questions for me that I can help with? Thank you guys so much for your time today. Was this helpful? Did anybody get any good gems out of this? Should we keep doing more stuff like this, or was this not very helpful and we need to find a new plan of action? Awesome. Thank you guys. Great. We're going to keep it up then. Thank you guys for saying that. Sharpen the saw. I love it, Joseph. I'm the same way. How can I demo the software? Edwin, please feel welcome to reach out to me. I'd be happy to give you a demo of it, help you explore it a little further. My email is Lee, L-E-E, at smartchurchsolutions.com. I'm sorry, Pamela. I know I go a little fast, but that's why we have the recording, right? So we can go back and really dig into it. So again, just always try and take notes where those items are. I know it's very, very quick, but there's a lot to cover within an hour. So I'm a little stretched for pace at times. But we will keep these up. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. These are the reasons we're doing them. It's because you've asked. We want to be able to help you guys get back into it and learn it for the first time if it's your first time. So thank you all so much for being here. Optional settings. Uh-oh, Allison, you gave it to him an easy way. Now I'm going to get spammed. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Allison. Glad to see your name here. Awesome. And hey, guys, 2 weeks from now, I'm giving you a little leak of information. I'm doing another webinar on 11 pro tips you did not know about eSPACE. That will be on the work order and asset management piece as well as the event scheduler. After this email, you're going to get more emails from me about it. We just won't advertise it until next week. But I will also include a link to register that one in the email that goes out later today with the recording. So please make sure to register for that. And then a month or two from now, I'm actually going to start bringing on some guests for the webinar. We're going to talk about things like preventative maintenance topics, best practices for it that's related to eSPACE and not related to eSPACE. So that's going to be a really, really good one too. And we have more coming. I'm trying to plan as many as I can. I want to do it every 2 weeks. So again, we're at the end of our time. I want to be respectful of everybody being here. Thank you guys so much for joining. Like I said, if I can be of any help, please feel welcome to reach out. And we're going to keep these going. You will see a recording after this as well. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for being here.